the universe ruined by synchronicity joke.
You're going to go to the show.
Okay. Now, let's see if this explodes in fire or...
That's the right side.
Right side. Okay. So this is my talk. Again, it's kind of got a foot in both realms. Skepticism's image problem, and oh, thank you. And preaching past the choir is kind of like a related but slightly different idea. Now, I talked to a few people when I was preparing this talk today, and one of those people was Daniel Loxton. I'm sure everybody knows him. And he said, you know, he's really big on this practical skepticism stuff, and he said that, you know, not everybody cares about these kinds of things, and that's cool, you know. Some people just like to find their tribe and learn a little something every now and then, and, you know, if you don't really care what people think about skeptics, and, you know, you don't care if we reach anybody else, that's awesome. You might not get much out of this talk, so, you know, if you want to go out and have a smoke or something, then that's fine. But if you do care about these topics, you probably realize that not many people outside of circles like this see us in very positive lights. They see us kind of what's like charging in and being all angry and getting in people's faces saying, you're wrong about this, and how can you believe this, and whatever. Obviously, if we actually want to help people and actually want to reach people, we need to do something about that kind of perception. And I think there's, again, two kind of separate ways that we can do that. And one of them is, again, kind of practice. We call it nuts and bolts skepticism. That's what they used to call it. Or Sharon Hill, who I also talked to preparing this talk, calls it practical skepticism. Maybe even helpful. That's a nice term. Helpful's a good term. So there's that one side, and then there's another side that could be described as creative, aesthetic even. These are all, some of these words are on the sheet for today. Emotional, I don't know, you can debate that one. But just so they stick in your head, I like to use the terms nitty gritty and artsy fartsy. There's no judgment in either of these terms. They're just nice mnemonic devices. So starting with nitty gritty, again, getting back to the idea of kind of pushing people around and pushing our ideas on people. There are plenty of people who will say, you know what, maybe I want to believe in UFOs and aliens and Bigfoot and alien Bigfoot. And you know what? It's not hurting anybody. What do you care? And okay, fair enough. I've made the argument in the past that if you're kind of willing to accept these ideas on bad evidence, you might be willing to accept worse ideas because they're bad evidence. I don't know if that's a good argument or not. I don't know if it's a persuasive argument, but it's there. But of course, in pseudoscience, there's also tangibly dangerous things like astrology, psychic readings, things that take your money for no reason. Worse times when you false hope about certain things. It's even worse, the big bad alternative medicine, which takes your money, give you false hope. It can even be directly or indirectly harmful. Directly if there's something bad in the stuff that you're taking, indirectly if you put off real treatment while you're messing around with this. So one of the things that Sharon Hill said to me, which kind of resonated with me, was that, sometimes the stereotype is true. Sometimes there are stereotypes, skeptics who are jerks. They're more interested in being right than being helpful. And Daniel Loxton said, kind of went in a different direction and said there's also a lot of skeptics now who see themselves as kind of leading an intellectual revolution, the vanguards of this movement, trying to sweep reason and science into the public consciousness. And in doing so, they kind of think that maybe they're above smaller things, taking out the regular trash, the everyday stuff, day after day after day, the things that keep popping up and not going away. some people will say, well, you know, who cares about astrology? Who cares about psychic readings? You know, we've been over that a million times. We've done it over and over and over again. Well, okay, then why is it still out there, you know? I mean, it's the kind of thing that the skeptical movement was founded on in the first place, because scientists didn't want to bother with this crap, because they had better things to do. So some people took up arms and said, all right, we'll handle it. And now it's the skeptics themselves saying, we're too busy for this crap, we're not going to bother with it anymore. Well, I mean, if we don't do it, nobody's going to do it. And those people will say, well, you know, there are more important things out there. You know, let's take, for example, just like I said, the general popularization of science. Actually, when I talked to Daniel Longston, he was actually writing a blog post on the Skeptic Society Insight page, which is out there now. You should all go check it out. I'm going to post this and he said there, you know, why should skeptics be bothering all that much with science popularization? It's a good idea, sure you can do it, but lots of people are doing it, and lots of people are doing it more prominently. Is there anybody who doesn't fucking love science at this point? You know, that's huge. There's a whole channel for science, and all kinds of things, and you know, some things that have people we know in them, television shows, and some of these things do it better than others, but they're out there. Ain't nobody talking about psychics and astrology and all that but us. So if it's not us, it doesn't get done. Now what about the real big bad, going back to alternative medicine? This is so bad and so harmful that somebody besides us must have taken up arms against it, right? Well, yeah, sort of. There was a Canadian skeptic named Barry Fartsy, who unfortunately isn't with us anymore. Came up with the idea of skepticism as a consumer reports of the mind. You kind of weed out the good, keep the good stuff, weed out the bad stuff. And and that struck me when I was researching this. It seemed like a good idea. Okay, well what about actual consumer reports? What do they do with this harmful nonsense that is prevalent in a lot of alternative medicine? So they smack up against it and with sort of mixed results. They kind of like acupuncture, which is sort of scary. They're wishy-washy on chiropractic, saying, well, you know, whatever works best for you. They hate colloidal silver, so I guess that's good. You know, they don't want people poisoning themselves. And they are downright brutal on homeopathy, which is good because it's the most ridiculous thing of all. And they say, here's their official doctrine says, the concepts behind homeopathy defy our understanding of the laws of nature. That's awesome. Good. And, you know, so why is it so popular? Some trials were done 20 years ago and see promising is basically the answer. So Consumer Reports comes down very hard on homeopathy. And that's the kind of place where you really need, you know, we're all individuals here. For something like this, when homeopathy is so entrained, kind of on a federal level, we all know the stuff they get away with the FDA. They're not regulated the same way. They don't have to meet the same trials that, you know, real drugs have to. So, you know, you can write your congressman or whatever, but this is where you really need, and as Sharon Helligan pointed out, is an organization of skeptics. And thankfully, CFI was invited to talk to the FDA, I don't know if you remember, in April, about regulating homeopathy, and they did a very nice thing. Kind of like what Consumer Reports said in maybe nicer language. In summary, homeopathy is unsupported by scientific evidence, ineffective, relied upon instead of actual medicine, dangerous, and even deadly. That's us, basically. That's a big bunch of us, but that's us getting up there and, you know, speaking truth to power. And then the FTC got in on the act. The Federal Trade Commission regulates things like advertising. And they got all up the FDA's ass and said, look, if you're going to advertise something, there has to be some science behind it. There has to be something, if you're going to advertise something as being useful, as doing something, there needs to be some evidence that it does that thing. And you guys have dropped the ball, and you better figure it out, or, you know. So, the ball is rolling a little bit on this, again, it might not have been so good if not for organized skepticism. But again, you know, people just rolling up their sleeves and getting their hands dirty with things that are obviously silly, but still also very powerful. Danny Locke has made the argument that, you know, how did it get this way to begin with? And he puts a lot of the blame on us. Well, you know, maybe we can get together, we can actually, you know, make up for our sins a little bit. You know, what if there were a group called Scientifically Informed Consumers to go along with consumer reports that talked about homeopathy, that were not as nice to acupuncture and chiropractic as consumer reports is. So of course, you know, like I said, government action, you really do need a group, a big group. But that doesn't mean you can't have individual action also. I'm guessing some of you probably know what this is. This is, you know, so everybody knows the side vein, I'm sure. She did a couple different videos on testing homeopathic remedies. Seems like a lot of homeopathic remedies actually have a lot of alcohol in them and not much else. She did, this particular one was on a homeopathic pet remedy that was for your dog that was also 13% alcohol. And she basically taped herself drinking it and getting drunk and seeing the effects. And this is how it goes.
Last 45 seconds to get me because I have no tolerance. I'm drunk. We're going to see what happens over the next 2 hours or so. There should be enough time to see me get drunk and then sober up again. We're going to film me making an ass of myself, for science, of course. See what happens after I've had a full bottle of lowdown, which again is 13% fucking alcohol, and they're giving it to your dogs. So, this is again not an excuse to get drunk. It's really, I have a huge amount of concern about the fact that they're giving this to your dogs. So, I'm going to cut film for a little while, and every time something silly happens in my apartment, I'm going to tape it and let you see what horrifying things I do when I'm drunk.
Buddy's barking. Buddy's barking. That's rude. That's so rude. Buddy, say hi. It's a science dog. I mean, no, I can't say that to him. He's so cute. Don't. Hail to the music, yeah.
No.
You just want kisses. Do you want kisses?
Why do you kiss them? No, he doesn't want to kiss you.
Do you want cuddles? Everyone wants cuddles. I want cuddle my dog. Kisses? How would I go? I have Diet Coke. It's the best day ever. It's the best day ever. I have Diet Coke. I have a dog and I have Diet Coke. Bud, come here. Can I get this? Come over here, kisses. Come here. I'm drunk the other day.
It is burger.
So, a little bit of a different approach. She actually did a different video where she taped, you know, human homemade tape herself. Yeah.
Sorry, I just think that's a terrible way to prove a good point, because when people think they're drunk, they will act drunk. So
That's
she
true.
could have done absolutely nothing.
and I
Also,
was-
begs the question, is alcohol actually bad for dogs? And I have no idea.
Right.
How much for interactions?
maybe some tiny bits.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, actually, she did a different video where she taped herself drinking, big person, homeopathic remedies, and gave herself a breathalyzer, which the breathalyzer turned out to be 0.11, I believe one of those,
Yeah, that's
homemade breathalyzer tests.
That's much
0.11, the legal drinking limit for driving in New York is 0.08. So, yeah, you're right. But that's the kind of thing, a group can kind of reach a governmental body. A person doing something like that can reach the actual other people out there. And Daniel Loxton might say something about the production values, we need more quality control. Nothing's a jerk about it, but if you want to talk about bad quality control, this is my own video from this year's New York Comic Con. I was able to kind of sneak into a press conference for the Exorcism Live program. I don't know if you guys caught that on Destination America on Halloween Eve. People went to the Exorcist house and did absolutely nothing, but were really scared about it. So I was able to sneak in and ask them some questions. He's talking about his experience in the Exorcist house and how he felt as a terrifying presence that followed him.
Because I started noticing bad things started happening with me. It's not like the movies where it's gonna stand and keep me blood and all that crazy stuff. It's like a dark cloud. You start noticing things changing around you. Like you might get a ticket and maybe
That's just scary.
and once I started cleansing myself and everything, that's it. Started doing like my life. So it's weird.
Some people, critics might say that, well, yeah, you got freaked out, so of course you're going to start noticing bad things after that happens. What do you say to that?
It's fine where anyone says it doesn't bother me one way or another, and I know what I experienced, and I know what I went through, so that's what I live for. That's so passionate about to explain certain things. That's why I know that I do is I want answers. I want answers from that other side. I know there's something else that is that we're all made up of energy.
Energy multiplies when you die. I don't know what that means.
That's my belief, and that's my feeling, and that's just experience of the best thing I've ever done with location. Some of the most sinister locations. I've talked to some skeptics that are able to maybe like catching voices. I showed them when no one was talking or anything wasn't being said. Some skeptics were overly like, how is that possible? I don't understand. Can you capture my voice? No one's saying that. The question is, it's not.
Some of the skeptics might say too that, well, we're kind of designed to hear voices, so you can pick them out when they're not there too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. You make for something or something. If you were right here, but if you said that you were there, no one's doing anything, you didn't say anything, it's solid.
He kind of goes on basically ignoring everything he said. It is, yeah. Yeah, it was also, I taped the whole thing too. I did a 30-minute interview and, with other people too.
Does the other guy ever speak?
Not much. Well, this guy says much crazier things, so it's selection bias on my part. This actually ended up on Doubtful News there. It's kind enough to let me write something about it.
What's the title of this piece? If we want to look it up.
If you want to look at it on Doubtful News, I think it's called Sweet Satan. Exorcism extravaganza, something like that. If you want to actually just go to my YouTube page, I can give you after. You can go to Doubtful News' website. So again, that was my poor first attempt. I literally bought my video camera, the week of this because I was like, oh man, I'm gonna nail these guys. By the way, I should mention they did have a psychic medium there who apparently never saw me coming. I don't know if the chakras were blocked that day or what. Now we transition into the artsy fartsy section. I know that's why you're here. So this is kind of what I do. I'm not part of a big organization with lobbying government, but I really like comics. That's why I was at Comic Con. I do press there. And so I try to do things where I relate science and skepticism to pop culture. Everybody remembers Iron Man 2. Everybody see Iron Man 2 years ago? Nobody's thought, okay, I'll explain. So in this movie, Tony Stark, Iron Man himself, he synthesizes a new element, and he does it in the dumbest way that you could possibly imagine. He has to find a schematic for this new element. I guess the electron needs to be in that place, the proton, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense. Because all you really need to do to make a new element, that's what you try to synthesize a new element. All you really need to do is just smash more protons in there really hard, you know, and you get the stick for long enough and you go, oh, I got something. So it's not. So a couple years later, somebody actually did. You know, this happens every now and then. Somebody synthesizes a new element, and so a couple years later, somebody was able to confirm the existence of element 115, which doesn't really make a lot of sense because again, it's, you know, nobody said, oh, it doesn't exist. You just have to kind of make it. It's like kind of confirming the existence of the 7-scoop ice cream sundae. It's more of an engineering project than a scientific question. But the funny thing to me was, so there's step 1, we got the pop culture, step 2, you got the real science. The funny thing to me was, does element 115 stick in anybody's head? Did that mean anything to anybody? Element 115 was what Bob Lazar said powered alien spaceships in Area 51. So now, hey, we actually have element 115, we synthesized it, we can test it, and it has none of the properties that Bob Lazar said it did. He said that they used it to turn it into 116, and 116 would decay into 115. No, 116 is actually more stable. He said that it used the gamma ray decay as a source of fuel. No, it actually used alpha particles instead. So this Bob Lazar is wrong, as if you didn't know that. And I just think it was neat to kind of combine all this in one little package. Again, I don't know how persuasive any of that is. Another thing that I did recently was, well, not recently, but again, getting back to superheroes, there is a game called Heroclix where you play with the little figures and you have to make little dice rolls to add to their attack and defense values. And it turns out that people who play this game are very, very superstitious about the dice rolls, which really surprised me for some reason. I don't know why. So somebody on a Throne of Discord started, almost every player I know seems to believe that there is some kind of mystical force that influences dice rolls. So I was like, I need to talk to these people more. I need to know more about this. And this one guy said that, he actually called it karma. Basically, he said that if he says something bad, doesn't apologize, or if he skips church to play the game, his dice will roll badly. And a guy named Andrew Bernardin did, for Skeptic Magazine years and years ago, did a demonstration where he flipped 2 coins 100 times, and each one of them kind of went on streaks, and they both kind of went back to 50-50 by the end. And I showed some of these people this study, and I said, hey, well, let me just take a look at this and see if it changes your mind. It didn't change their mind. They said things like, maybe something like bias get in the way, don't try to explain the experiments. Okay. But I hope, a lot of people did see it, and I hope that really all you can hope to do is just kind of use your contacts, even if it's just like a small portion of the population that likes the same kind of things that you like. And here is something even better, like real art. This is a comic that was just fulfilled on Kickstarter called After the Gold Rush by a guy named Greb. See the tagline there, science returns to a world that has forsaken it. It's about the main protagonist here called Scout. She lives on one of the moons of Jupiter, and she comes back to the Earth and finds out that it's overrun by craziness and nonsense, and nobody believes in science anymore. So she has to kind of help them out, and he takes the point that skepticism is a negative word to some people. This is an interview I did with him. But kind of like what we said before, people on Earth are using alternative medicine, and she gives them real medicine, replacing something with low efficacy with something that actually helps people and heals them. That's not negative, that is the definition of a positive thing. And of course, how can you disagree with that? The problem is, maybe it's not a problem, but one thing that I argue with him about is that he markets it as a skepticism and atheism comic book. That's cool if you're trying to rehabilitate the word. I'm all for rehabilitating the word. The problem is that people who already have a negative connotation aren't going to pay attention. So this is still, if we're talking about preaching to the choir, this is still in the church as far as I'm concerned. Stepping, oops. Oh no. So yeah, again, it's fun that I do these things, but again, this is a very self-selecting geek group. A lot of geeks are already kind of sympathetic towards skepticism, so you kind of have to take one more step out. Does anybody know Gail Simone? Does anybody read comic books? Alright, so Gail Simone is a comic book writer, but she has pretty much a different audience than the standard comic audience. It's a lot of women, it's a lot of girls, younger people, not, like the stereotypical superhero guys. And she has a book out now called Clean Room. It's on issue number 2 right now. That it's not marketed as a skepticism book. It's not marketed as anything like that. It's just a story, but it's a story about a typical self-help guru, kind of religious cult leader. And she's come right out and said in interviews about how much this kind of thing bothers her. Amateurs will always flock to those people that have them. Many are using the same flim-flam techniques used by faith healers since time began. We're all familiar with that language, and I think this is a good step in reaching people who might not ordinarily be reached. Here's kind of like some evidence here, typical cult-like language. Believe it be pre-hypnotic, I can remember Scientology said. Kind of psychic, cold reading trick. That's infuriating, isn't that? Trying to finish your own sentences. But one of the good things about this is that it's telling a story. And it's kind of teaching through telling a story. You might not even realize, again, since this is kind of marketed to a different audience, you might not even realize that you're learning anything. You might not even realize that you're being influenced. Storytelling is very powerful. This is kind of where the nitty-gritty and the artsy-fartsy, I think, can combine on things, because this is something that journalists have known for a long time. Here's kind of an expose on our friend Stanislaw Brzezinski, his strange cancer treatments. So a 6-year-old boy had been fighting an inoperable brain tumor for 10 months. Ambulance took him to a hospice. The kid, basically the kid died. You could read it. You could find this on USA Today. Very heartbreaking, and Rachel, Silent Spring, Rachel Carson. I mean, that started it all. You have this nice, idyllic town in the midst of a checkerboard of prosperous farm with fields of grain, hillsides of orchards. 2 paragraphs later, then a strange light crept over the area, and everything began to change. An evil spell that settled on the community. And that's over-the-top language, obviously. But storytelling works. We're natural storytellers, and this is something that skeptics seem to have a hard time with. We're natural storytellers, and we like to be told stories. I've got this book here that if everybody ever wants to take a look at it. If you don't believe me, it's called On the Origin of Stories by Brian Boyd. He talks about all the scientific evidence for why we like stories and why, and why it's part of our evolutionary heritage. Stories can be used as parables. Those who don't heed the past are doomed to repeat it, and all those kinds of things. It's used for strategic social information, so you can know about all the other people in your tribe. Gossip is kind of reciprocal altruism. When say, hey, he's out to get you. Okay, thanks, man. I got your back next time. Or policing kind of social norms, keeping people in line. It's used for status. If you know all the good stories, then the higher ups are going to like you. And that's why there's always a story topper in any group of friends. Oh yeah, well that's nice, but when I went there, he's trying to work his way up the line, And I mean, even if you think about the language, everything we say, every sentence, every declarative sentence is a story, more or less. I went there, I'm going to go there. That's starting in one place and ending in another place. That's basic storytelling. And again, I understand some people see this as cheating, but really it's just getting in the game. Because these are the kinds of things, well, take a look at this. So this is a very dry, very well-referenced description of naturopathy. Mark Crislip was at Nexus, one of the science-based medicine guys. He was at Nexus last year, and he gave a much different account of naturopathy. That to me, I think is a lot more powerful, and I asked him to kind of expound on that a little more and make me press this a little bit. Here's what he says. I became interested in scams, which is what he calls scam. Early in my practice, when I was called to see a leg infection, what it was a dead leg, went gangrene, the horrible smell of rotting human flesh and reduced. A 24-year-old girl who had an osteosarcoma of her leg and rather than be cured with amputation. She went to a naturopath who said she could be cured by, among other things, drinking alkaline water and herbs. It didn't work. She refused surgery by us, even brought in by our mother when she became unresponsive, but perked up with fluids, letting us know her naturalist still assured her that he could cure the tumor. The rotten leg was her body rejecting the tumor. That night, the tumor of the infection rode into a major artery, and she bled to death in her sleep. Now, which of these two things is more effective to you? Be honest. So that's where I try to, I think it's important, I think it's valuable for us at least to consider that maybe we shouldn't jettison this idea of storytelling so easily just because, it makes us queasy. I agree. The data should speak for itself. Sadly, that's not how we're built. We have to understand the universe how it is, not how we wish it to be. Let's be true to ourselves. We have time for questions. So go ahead.
Just one or two, if anyone has any good questions.
Oh, I've
Benny had his hand up first.
One of the things I feel strongest about is for us as a skeptic
Right.
How do you feel about that?
I feel similarly. Benny says that as skeptics, we should probably be careful about assuming that skepticism is automatically conflated with atheism, and especially promoting ourselves that way. And I tend to agree. And Daniel Luxon says the same thing. He says he has different hats when he does different things. He has a skeptic hat, his humanist hat, his atheist hat. And I agree with Benny that for that reason, and also because I'll take it one step further though. I'll admit I'm an atheist, but I'm not militant about it. I'm not going to jump down people's throats about it. And one of the reasons for that is it doesn't do any good. That things like homeopathy are so ridiculous that if you explain to a person what it actually is, just about everyone will say to you, that's nonsense. Why does anybody buy into that? Homeopathy is a winning battle to me. And a lot of these things are winning battles. But when you conflate that all with something that is so deep and personal as somebody's religious beliefs, say, yeah, we take on all of this nonsense, and say, well, wait, you're calling my faith nonsense? I'm not going to listen to you about anything. So it's a matter of, to me, it's yes, exactly what you said, Betty. Atheists aren't always skeptics and vice versa, but also, if you are an atheist and a skeptic, know when to pick your battles.
I guess that's okay. So we're going to be taking